Okay, meeting called to order at 5:34. Everybody had a chance to read the minutes from April 1st?
I'll make a motion, we accept the minutes as written. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Good. Any bills? Oh, this is for the ad that we published.
Yes.
Did Bill forget too? Yes.
I did.
That was the second one.
Oh, there were two, okay.
Kids can't.
Mea
make
culpa.
corrections. She can't make it any simpler for you guys.
Okay. Let's hope this is a
Oh, I
short
thought you
night.
signed on the tab.
That was me.
Okay, correspondence?
Yes.
Okay, we have a letter from the Tree Department, Brian Gavlin, to the Conservation Commission, wooded area behind Town Hall. Having noticed several potentially hazardous trees within the wooded area behind Town Hall, I'm requesting approval to remove them. The area has been inspected by me and other certified arborist, Dennis Brodeur from Tree Tech. The trees we recommend removal have been flagged with pink ribbon. Funding is currently available to accomplish this work, but it may not be available in the future. So he's asking permission to remove some of those trees. Well, I guess we did a quick site visit out there and saw some trees that looked okay and others that didn't. Do we want to ask Brian to come in and talk to us about that?
I mean, you can do that, other than the fact it's not pink ribbons, it's red ribbons.
Okay. I must have had the wrong sunglasses on. Okay.
But, I mean, as long as they're not pulling stumps, I
Right.
don't see, okay, that's the only time we'll have a problem. But if they're just cutting it and then grinding the stumps, they can grind the stumps, then that's fine. I mean, I don't see any, I don't see any reason to.
I was just looking at them, personally, I have a couple issues with a few of the trees they wanna take down. Cause they're good habitat, the way they are. There's a couple that, yeah, should come down, they're old, they're destroyed, blah, 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 blah. But there's a few of them I don't quite agree with.
Are they the elms?
I don't
He did say
remember.
there's some elms out there that might look good now, but down the road they won't, they'll be diseased, so.
Yeah, I didn't see any elms, but
And again, if you want to set up an appointment with Brian to,
How long does he have the person doing the work available for?
he did not say.
Yeah.
The money would be available until the end of June, so we've got to get on.
I would make the suggestion if we could do a site visit or have him come in, a couple of us be there and just talk about it next week, this week.
Yeah, I think I would be in favor of that, just to go, have us look at what they're going to do,
Okay.
and rather than have them just go in there and,
So maybe look at, have him out there, explain the ones that
Yeah,
he wants
why
to
don't,
take down.
why don't we try and schedule a site visit with Brian?
Okay.
Let everybody know, and the people that are available can go meet with him and
Well, and
walk through it.
if they end up having 3 people available, then you gotta post it.
Well, we just won't
Yeah,
have 3 people.
yeah, okay.
So she'll send out an email once she's got some times from Brian, and then whoever can make it signify, and we'll decide who goes to talk to him. That way we don't have to post a meeting.
sounds like a plan.
Okay?
Good.
Okay.
That was from the arborist.
All right, and this is from, as a follow-up to that, the arborist is asking, or has indicated a willingness to do educational walk-around.
I don't walk for that day that you go out there.
Why
to
don't we do it at
inspect
the same time?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
invasive, he wants to talk about invasive species, tree identification, biology. Again, if we do that as an education, then that's not considered a meeting, is it?
No, but you still have a quorum of you. If you have 3 people or more, you still have quorum, you gotta post it, whether it's educational or not.
Okay.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with
Right.
posting the meeting if you want.
Why don't we try and schedule the things together?
Okay.
And you can do it both, and whoever's
And then when
available
it's
can
scheduled, I
make
can
it.
put it on the board.
Okay.
You only need 48 hours
Okay.
to post a Concom meeting.
Okay. And this is from communication, an email from Sean Lamb concerning an RDA as opposed to an NOI.
Yeah,
Have you talked to this
I
gentleman?
did. And
Kate
I told
Phillips
him
Street?
that what he can do is first hire a surveyor and put on a plan the flags that are being hung out there, and then mark out where he wants to do the work. Bring it in at the office, I'll go over it with him, and then we'll determine whether it is something that is viable for an RDA versus an NOI. It does not make any sense to tell him do he's trying to control his expenses, which is understandable, yeah, which is understandable, but I don't wanna, it's on the,
It's 412 King Philip Street.
yeah, it's trying to do a sewer
I don't
tie-in.
know if you have it in there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's trying to do a sewer tie-in, and he's saying, well, I've got all these expenses, it's got to either do a sewer tie-in or an upgrade of the septic system that failed. Well, I cannot see, I'm not the one doing the work, but I cannot see how it's gonna be cheaper to upgrade the septic system
I
than
didn't think you were allowed
fix
to
it.
if sewers in front of you.
That was the next point.
Okay.
Okay, so even if you wanted to do the upgrade,
Yeah.
now sewer is available, because the septic system is in failure, that is a threat to the environment. So the Board of Health has the authority
To
to
override.
require him to tie in.
To do it?
I guess the other issue out there too is where they want to place it. It's
Yeah.
next to the water line. So there are issues with that too.
Right, but the water department had told him, according to
Yeah.
Dave, Dave being the
Health agent.
health agent,
Right, okay.
that the water district said, yeah, as long as he sleeves it. But then they came out and looked at it and said, maybe not. So that's why I said, put it on a paper, so we have something to use for making a determination, as opposed to a verbal. It gets too quickly lost in translation.
But what's his timeframe for this? If it's got a failing sewer, then he's got to expedite this to get it done.
But it's been since December.
Okay.
It's been a while, that the
Yeah.
first time he talked to you,
Mm-hmm.
so.
How did the sewer line and the water line get so close?
No, well, he doesn't have a sewer line right now, he has septic.
Yeah. Oh,
So where he wants to tie in to the town sewer, the direction of that line will be close to his water service.
And the problem, this piece of property has a long driveway. I think it's on the map in the back, Bill. It has a long shared area like, and then it goes all the way to the back. So there's not much of the driveway going in, and that's why,
Yeah, he doesn't really have a lot of frontage.
yeah.
So it's a long driveway, so the water
No, I
line's
didn't.
close down the driveway.
Right,
The sewer line's gotta go down the driveway.
right behind Tedeschi's. Oh, excuse me, 412 King Philip.
King Philip Street, I thought I had it. I guess I didn't bring it up.
Because I said I was just gonna give him the
Yeah,
phone.
I didn't bring it up, but
Is that the one that's right next to the railroad bed?
No, I don't think so.
No.
No, it's,
Trying to think of a long driveway.
no, after you go past, because it's actually headed more closer to Broadway.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, you might be right. The railroad bed that we did there with the inspection for the
For the,
state on the ANRAD, yeah,
Yeah.
yes. Going towards Broadway will be on the right-hand side.
yeah.
So what was his response to you?
He said he'll get a surveyor.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's wait and see
Yeah.
where he goes with
Yeah,
that.
Can I just read that?
I told him either way, whether it's a request for determination or a notice of intent, he needs a plan. And
He
so,
needs to tell us what he's gonna do and where he's
Exactly.
gonna do it. Yeah, okay.
exactly.
Okay, another correspondence from a David McGuire on,
Yeah, that's the guy behind the Tedeschi,
right,
number 182, Lakeview
Lakeville,
Drive. Yeah.
Lakeville Drive, okay.
Yeah, he's looking to run a gas, apparently the gas company already went and flagged the wetlands.
Okay,
So I told him about, yes, he can do a request for determination, because that's a utility, that's a, it's not like a
Right.
sewer.
That's right.
That you can have a potential pollution. So he's gonna do an application for that. And I told him once, he gets, he was gonna try to meet with me on this Friday, but Gail's not in the office. So I told him next week, and Monday's a public holiday, so he works 2 days out of the week at home,
okay,
and that's Thursdays and Fridays. So what he's gonna do is try to switch next Wednesday, instead of working at home on Thursday next week, he will switch it to Wednesday, so I can meet with him at his property. So I'll meet him there
okay.
to see,
Look over the situation.
right.
Okay, good.
Yeah, this went out with an email to everybody as well, with the pictures of his spikes. You need to see that as well?
Sure, we'll give it to Dave.
Yeah, give everything.
Just give everything down to Dave. Somebody doesn't read emails.
Okay. All right, we also have a communication from William Ashton. He's the state
I never got
forest
this.
supervisor, and he wants to do some work over at the Raynham State Forest. Little did we know we had a state forest.
I
I
never did.
didn't know that, okay? And I guess it's off of Locust Street.
Yes.
It's about 16 acres, and he wants to upgrade to a hiking trail, a loop around there, and he also wants to put a sign up, and wants us to help him with that effort. And I think that's a great idea.
There currently is a sign that
There is
says
a-
Raynham State Forest.
Okay.
It's wooden, and it's faded, and it's old.
He's gonna upgrade it,
It
right?
does say Town of Raynham Conservation on it.
It does say, but it
I'm
doesn't, but it doesn't fall under,
It's
Yeah,
it's state
exactly.
property.
Yeah.
Okay.
so I don't know who put the sign up, it's probably before all of our time. Unless it's Dave, you might know.
If we're communicating back to this gentleman, tell him we would like to be involved, and anytime he wants to have a site visit or have our involvement in that activity, we can do so.
Very much so.
Because I think that's a great idea, to get a.
absolutely.
And that's a
loop
great
up there.
parcel right there
Yeah.
too, on a side road, and there's actually a little bit, I think right in front of the sign, there's actually a couple of spaces to park.
Yes, yeah.
So you're not parked on the edge of the road, you can actually,
I will turn around and email him back next week.
Okay,
Well, from the 10th to stop and go in here, he provided a lot.
okay.
Do that next week, if you're not here tomorrow.
No, I'll have to do it Tuesday.
But it's a state, they don't rush things, so we have time.
Bring that up.
Okay.
I dare you, go ahead.
Okay, we've got correspondence from B&D Construction concerning a follow-up to our, Azu and my site visit out there last Friday. We went out and looked at the hay bales and the silt fence to make sure that they were in line. And we noticed at that time that he had not submitted the EPA's permit. And this is correspondence saying that he has applied for that permit, he does have that permit. The question I had is that the permit indicates that he can't do any work for 24 days.
Right, until,
The
well, after
permit's
24
approved.
days, if he doesn't hear from them,
He
then
can
it's
do
all
the work.
clear.
Are they aware of that, and are they okay with not doing any work for
Or
another
he's
24
doing-
days?
He can be doing it at his own risk.
Okay. Okay, do you have anything to add to that?
I have no
Okay.
problem with that.
Okay,
Generally, they will, they will tell you to make some changes if you don't already have an erosion control plan,
Right.
and if you don't have a good drainage system. They have a good drain, yeah. So,
another communique from MassDOT concerning an order of resource area delineation, DEP file number 2690880. Are you familiar with this?
That's the right of way for the, to the trains. Remember the lines that we had walked?
Yep.
And you gave them the ORAD. Well, just like you said, the state doesn't move quick enough. They have, Yeah,
Three years.
yeah,
coming up.
it moved pretty quick. So they need they just basically asking that the order be extended.
3-year.
Yeah,
Okay.
so I don't see, there's no no work has been done,
So
whereas.
we haven't seen an ORAD or anything from them, have we?
No, we give them an order.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
They have
yeah.
one, yes, in place.
Yeah, so basically they're asking you to extend it because it's expiring.
All right, do I need to,
Motion to
we
extend.
need a motion
extend,
to,
yeah.
Yeah.
Motion to extend the ORAD.
Second?
all in favor?
Aye.
Oh, sorry, you didn't say for how long?
For 3 years.
3 years.
Yeah, okay.
That's standard, right? 3 years?
Well, you can do it
That's what
here.
he's
You're
requesting,
not,
right?
well, that's what they're requesting, but that's, you can give a shorter time if you want.
3 years
But
is
there's
fine.
3 years
no,
works.
3 years.
but there's no need to, but I'm just saying so that you're on record
On record.
for how much you extended it for.
Because in 3 years, they might be back again.
That's right.
I guarantee you will be.
All right, this is just a public notice of hearing from the Board of Appeals. On Wednesday, April 22nd, in the Veterans Memorial Town Hall, we'll consider a petition for number 907 for Robert L. Taylor, Northeastern, requesting a variance for the Raynham Zoning Board bylaws, Section 5.1 minimum requirements, to allow a lot of land fronting on Warren Street West to have 156.75-foot frontage and a 40,000 square foot contiguous upland instead of the 200-foot frontage. Let's just notice to us that they're having a public hearing on that.
Well, if they're looking for variance because they want to create another lot,
Yeah, but that's not us.
no, but the reason I'm asking that is,
Right.
that area is wet. That area is wet. So if they're trying to get an extra lot, and therefore create a hardship where they're closer to wetlands now, when they get a reduced frontage, then you don't want to do that, because you don't want to support them creating their own hardship. So we want to take a look. When is the meeting, next Wednesday?
22nd, yeah.
The
So we need,
probably-
do we have plans to look at?
I don't have any.
Okay, so if you
ask
don't
for
mind, ask for a plan, Maureen, for a plan, I can look at it on Tuesday or Wednesday morning.
And
All
then,
right?
and
Yeah,
if we
because if
find
they're
out
creating a
that's,
hardship that does not exist, why would you want to support it? And then they can come here, I don't know, I'm not saying that is the case, then they will come here and ask you for limited access, that they want to, DEP's regulations are very clear, that you cannot create your own hardship. You are allowed access through a wetlands area if there is no other reasonable means of access. Well, if it's trying to create another lot that can potentially infringe on wetlands, then you don't want to support that.
Oh, okay, all right, yeah.
all right, if we find that to be the case, then we
Then
need to
want
go
to
to
write
that
a letter to
hearing.
the Board of Appeals,
Okay.
saying that we don't support it.
Who's asking for it? Mark who?
No, Robert Taylor from Easton.
Oh, Taylor.
It's in the paper, I read the notice.
I'm not allowed to get the paper.
Okay, well, another notice of, a public hearing notice, again from the Board of Appeals. Again on Wednesday, April 22nd, for number variance or petition number 908, Amy Hodge and Chris Hodge, for a special permit to add an in-law addition to their home at 121 Tiddicott Road. Assessors map lot 9, map 9, lot 144. Is that something we should be concerned about? We don't, it depends on whether that's
Yeah,
in the wetlands, right?
I don't want to, I don't want to read it out because, read the bottom text. That's from Bill Smith. Don't read it out loud. though.
He hasn't. He hasn't.
He's not here, he doesn't have a vote.
He's watching us.
Okay.
So that's
Are you familiar with the Tiddicott lot property? Is that something we should be concerned about?
Which one is that one?
It's 121 Tiddicott Road. They want to do add an in-law addition.
Okay, that's, no, that's not a problem, that's, done by the,
On the way to school.
yeah, you don't have too many wetlands issues there.
Okay, so that's not an issue. Okay, another communique from FEMA concerning the flood plan management measures. Is this continuation of the floodplain information that we had from before?
Yeah, that's all.
Here's your information.
They copy it, but it's really primarily for the building department, and the planning department.
They're just saying that there's no,
We need to,
yeah, there's no significant changes that have been made to the flood plan hazard data.
yeah, what had happened was, if you remember, kind of a couple of years ago,
Yeah,
when they came out with those 2012 maps.
and there was a lot of public
A
outcry.
lot of people were not happy with that, especially, and then most people that were affected were primarily in the Marshfield area, and then they started a petition with the congressional delegation saying, oh, no, we need to revisit this, because you can't just.
I actually attended that workshop meeting with FEMA.
Right, okay.
At the Attleboro Library with John Chavino from the planning department, and that's actually, the maps will need to be adopted, so people that have coverage or need coverage will be eligible for it, and that's gonna be before town meeting to
Okay.
adopt the maps.
The new maps.
Which will take effect in July, if I'm not mistaken, of 2015.
Okay.
So that'll be on one of the articles at town meeting in a couple weeks.
Okay, the other one that, do we have the living facility here? Or is it-
I think so, I think you, I didn't.
I do have it, but it's not on the agenda.
Right.
Okay. Pursuant to another site visit that both Azo and I attended last week as well concerning the American Assisted Living, do you want to articulate on that?
Yes, basically what happened was we went out there to look at the apron, the driveway entrance into the, where they wanted to do a little swale, yeah. and we-
Ties into the state drainage.
Yeah, and we,
As a request from their engineer.
yeah,
Yeah.
and we went out there, it wasn't a problem, but then we looked at the detention basin, which is bad. It's filled with water, it's supposed to be a recharge system. So how you achieving recharge if you're sitting with water? Yeah, the drain inlet was all covered, okay? And then there were a couple of the catch basin they were supposed to install was not installed, so the water was just going from the asphalt over the bank into the pond.
And there was some blow-offs
Yeah.
that we noticed as well.
And then there were all those concrete pipes in the wetlands and in the buffer zone. We brought it to the engineer's attention. He says, yeah, but it's really not in your order of conditions to remove it, even though we told him out in the field. So we reviewed the order of conditions and found, well, it didn't say specifically, it says no material shall be stockpiled within 25 feet of the wetlands. I said, well, you've got concrete pipes that are within not just 25 feet, but inside the wetlands. Those are materials. So we did a letter to them, and they've been hurrying like crazy and pulling out stuff, and they gave us their EPA permit, which they received. They did file for it. They did not submit quarterly, monthly reports as we required in the order. They made a bunch of reports, you know. So they are kind of panicking because they're, you know.
We didn't do an enforcement order, we did a letter of concern, give them a chance to
Yeah.
address the issues, and they did. They were in the next day,
Yeah, it's not, yeah.
indicating that they would take care of all those issues.
You know, when they first started doing the construction and the tie-in there, I had spoke to you, Azu, I think, about a lot of the trees they had, in the brush they had taken down where the swale cuts into 138. I haven't been there since then. Is anything cleaned up different, look better?
Well, out in the front, they cleaned up. Out in the front, it's mostly where you have the basin,
It's in the back.
and then to the right, the southwest and no, the
This would be the strip that borders 138.
no, that area is fine. That
Okay.
area is fine.
It's the strip that borders the highway.
The highway,
ramp.
yeah, 2495, yeah.
We saw a lot of the concrete
Violations there?
pipes and as well as conduits, that sort of thing that was still there, that we specifically asked them to remove. And although it didn't make it into the order of conditions, it's something that they have to deal with, because that can't stay in the wetland, that has to get out of there.
And they said they were gonna do, they already hired somebody to do that.
Right.
So,
I don't know how they're gonna get it out there without damaging the wetland, but
well, no, they can't.
They can put a
You
crane
got
in.
it right over, if you look at it like, those trucks that they used to bring septic tank to a job site, yeah, it's almost like a crane.
It has
You gotta pull it out like that. If somebody will go in there, put the chain around it, yeah, and then they will pull it up that way.
we should follow up on them to
Yeah.
make sure that they comply within the next, we gave them 3 weeks to
Yeah.
deal with it.
Yeah.
So we should get
I'll
out
try and
there,
swing by there tomorrow and
do a site visit within the 3 weeks, which would be another 2 weeks.
Not 2 weeks, because it
It'll
was,
be in May, first
yeah.
week in May, you can go out and take another look, make sure they complied. And if they haven't, then we'll issue
they
an
put on
enforcement
fine.
order.
Yeah, because we kind of, in a veiled way,
We did scare them.
yeah, and we threatened them with that potential fine, excuse me.
We did, but we didn't do it.
as far as the missing catch basins and stuff, it's still under construction, so you can't get,
Yeah, well,
you can't get too mad, right?
right, no, but if the catch basin is supposed to have a asphalt apron,
Yeah.
well, that
All
means
the
you're gonna be.
asphalt's already there.
Right, so, think about that, I mean, I'm not gonna tell them how to do their job, but it does not make any sense that you're gonna start digging back up the asphalt.
Well, that's-
What I suspect.
That's their
Okay,
issue.
No, because their engineer mentioned, he goes, well, that part is really not in your jurisdiction, so what I'm thinking is they decided, we don't need to put that, let the water run across.
But it's part of the whole site plan that was
And
approved,
That's what we told them.
yeah. And if that's the case, I'm sure they did the same approval to planning,
Yeah.
we'll just tag on with them.
It's just something to keep an eye on, make sure that they
Yeah.
do end up complying.
And because of that too, Gail and I talked about setting up a form for us to start doing inspections, rather than having reacting to be more proactive. Where once we give an order of conditions, we want to have a column that says, yeah, we received the recording receipt. Yeah, because they have a few items on that that they do, if that engineer had not called us, we probably wouldn't.
We wouldn't have gone out there
Gone
until the
out there.
COC was
Right.
asked for. Okay.
And then, so,
But the as-built wouldn't have matched the plans.
exactly,
That's when we would have caught it.
exactly,
But that's weeks down.
right.
If not
Yeah,
months.
And then they would be going, geez, we're sorry, they'd be asking for forgiveness.
Kinda
So
Walmart.
but whereas if you catch them,
Exactly.
Kind of like
yeah,
Walmart.
exactly.
I mean, it makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
It's been an issue here for years. The problem is timing.
Re-
We don't have the,
Resources, yeah.
we don't have the resources
Right.
to go there all the time.
But like Azu and I were talking on the days that maybe there's not a lot of
A
paperwork.
lot of
on the desk.
paperwork, yeah, instead of
I'll
sitting in the office,
concentrate on
I'll go and do
Yeah.
that, yeah.
So,
Sounds good.
all right.
Okay. Informal, we've got a continuation on the RK Associates. Once again, they've asked us to come back in May. I think they're on the agenda for the May timeframe. But before we do that, I'd like to discuss the current fine situation with them, since we have everybody here. The question I have for Azu is, once we issued the enforcement order, the $100 a day fine continues. When does that stop? Does that stop when they submit the NOI? Or does that stop when the
Yeah,
work is done?
right, well, no, the accumulating of the fine was gonna stop, because that's what we said in the
Okay.
when they filed the notice of intent.
Okay,
But then there was an amount that you said they gotta pay.
okay.
So that's up to you.
So in looking back at what we had discussed, there was an initial fine of $6,100 that we levied on them. And the,
Excuse me, Bill.
Yep.
Chairman, 63 6,300 was the initial, 61 was the,
Oh, okay, I got that
Yeah.
backwards, okay.
6,300 was the initial fine.
I think that was based on the caliper.
Caliper of the tree.
Yeah,
Right, and then the-
61
And
was the daily.
and an
61
additional
was from the daily
6,100
enforcement
for the
order.
daily enforcement, so that brings the total about 12,400, okay? I think that that once we got them on board and they sort of cooperated, I think in good faith, they've been proactive and they have cooperated. And as well as or in lieu of the fact of the amount of money they've already spent in putting the replication back and the trees back, I think we should look at maybe reducing that overall fine,
So
if not eliminating it altogether,
So you're saying there's a $12,400 fine
right now.
in place right as we speak?
Right. But it's up to us to decide whether we want to
Wanna
waive
take
any of
that
that or all of that, and we should talk about that before we get in front of them again, which will be next month.
Just for a point of discussion, I mean, they finally did cooperate,
Yeah, they did.
but it took 6 months for them to finally cooperate.
well, what
And,
had happened, yeah, and I agree with that,
and
because what had happened
their
was,
original engineer did a lot of arguing with us.
no, the
He did.
lawyer.
The lawyer, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah, the lawyer, he came in here saying,
Oh,
oh,
wow.
you know, you don't even have a jurisdiction.
No.
Yeah.
But then when Mr. Baker arrived on the scene,
Right.
cooperation
When he
increased
came in,
dramatically.
he got involved, everything changed.
You're
It
right.
did.
Yeah.
They started,
So-
he tried, and he would come before us and we'd say something
Yeah.
to him, and he'd go do it.
Right.
And then he came back and,
Right.
There wasn't 100% cooperation to start.
No, there wasn't. And
initially.
I
You know, I
think
think
that's why
that,
we
I think that
imposed the
needs to
fine.
be noted, and, you know, as far as the spending money to do the replication, they were bound to do that because of what they did.
But it was still a significant amount of expense for them to do that.
It would have
we
been
should
cheaper
take
for them
that-
to do it right the first time.
To not cut at all.
Oh, it would have been cheaper not to cut any caliper inches at all.
Yeah, so, I mean,
Yeah, but
I
we're
feel
not,
bad for them, but
yeah, we're not here
Well,
to
well,
punish
I think-
people. We're here to get people to help work with us and cooperate. And I think in the spirit that they did, so that we should take that into consideration.
The whole thing is that the idea of a fine, an enforcement order, it's not necessarily to be, it's not designed to be punitive.
No.
It's designed to get somebody
To cooperate.
to pay attention. And if they pay attention, then it's fine. So what I will suggest, it's kind of twofold or threefold, however you want to look at it. The first part, I think the daily accumulation one be more of a scheduling and timing. So I will say the 6,100, you probably can consider getting rid of,
Okay.
okay? But the 6,400, you gotta keep.
I'm actually, that's exactly what I was about to
I
say.
agree with that.
I agree with that 100%. I know once we got the ball rolling with Mr. Baker, it was definitely a lot smoother than the speed bumps and the rumple strips in the beginning.
Yeah.
With our case attorney coming in guns blazing, that we were in the wrong. So myself, speaking personally for myself, I would definitely be in favor at minimum, at least, you know,
The initial fine.
the initial fine
fine.
from the enforcement order date to the date they file the NOI, eliminating that. The other one, for the caliper inches, something will have to come out of the caliper inches, whether it's the whole 6,400 or partial, but something will.
Actually, the amount is 6,300.
6,300, well, something will have to come out of the caliper inches, especially since it wasn't even on their own property. So, you know, just speaking for myself, I would be in favor of eliminating the enforcement fine of this, of the 61.
The other thing I would, along those lines, the other thing is that area, we want to look at two things. They had the pollution issue, you know, from the parking, and then the breaching of the bank, stream bank and the wetlands. They addressed that, they
They've addressed
constructed
all
the
of that,
swales.
right, yep.
So that's working. So that issue is very well addressed. The other issue has to do with the trees and planting. Unless you have trees that are of the same caliber as what they cut, you're gonna have a hard time getting the trees to survive there. And it's not just a question of the size of the trees that they're planting, because the ones that they donated to the town, that were actually all the same type of trees, same calipers, all survived.
But they're in different
In a
environments.
different environment, that it's not inundated with water, because you gotta remember, part of the function of wetlands, it sounds crazy, but in the preamble, in the Wetlands Protection Act, says that wetlands serve to filter, to treat, and to store floodwaters.
Well, that's their purpose.
That's the purpose. So what is happening is, I think, that the amount of water that comes out of the highway into that area is pretty high in pollutants,
Sure, so.
and also the amount of water that's there,
I
okay?
got it.
So, at some point,
It's only the mature trees could handle.
can handle the exact, that environment. So,
And also, just for a point of reference, they didn't discover an additional head wall until they got in there. So
Right.
now there's even possibly more water
Right.
into that area than was originally.
so what I'm saying is, that is leading to is, they have not shortchanged in terms of spending money to fix it.
No, they haven't.
Okay, they have not. So, apart from what happened with the state property, I mean, they have to deal with the state, okay, in addressing that. But at some point, to be honest with you, I would say, you leave an area untouched. Somehow, the plants and vegetation that will survive that environment through pollination will take hold, will naturally grow back, and that's gonna happen there. So at some point, we're just gonna have to say, okay, you screwed up, but if they keep spending that money, they already show that they have the willingness to do that. At some point, you're just gonna say the natural survive,
Natural process.
process, it will revegetate, and I guarantee you, they're not gonna go in there doing any more cut. With what they've gone through.
So are we looking for a dollar amount? Is that what you're asking, Bill? I mean, we're talking $12,400, right, total?
Where would any fines go into? Will they go
It
in?
goes, it's the problem with that, it goes to the general fund, so
Yeah.
it doesn't help us per se.
that's-
And I don't, and I agree with Azu, I don't think we want to be punitive in this situation. We want them to cooperate, which they did, so I think waiving some of that, I
Yeah.
think is
No, I-
reasonable.
And I'll tag on to Kevin's comment about, the caliper of the trees. They ended up ordering more trees than they needed, and we ended up, I believe it was 9 pine trees that got donated to the town. So I would be willing to give them like from what my math comes out to, it'd be like a $2,300 credit, let's
Okay.
say, towards the fine for the pine trees they were donated. So if you're looking for a motion tonight,
Well, is that in there was some discussion about just giving them, just paying the caliper amount. Are you saying this 2,300 be taken off the caliper amount as well?
yes,
Okay.
the caliper amount was, if I'm correct, 63.
63.
So I would deduct the 23 off of the 63, and
That leaves them
if you wanted it,
4,000.
if you wanted as a motion, I would make a motion as that would be the fine leveled for the encroachment into the wetlands, or however you want to
Okay.
state it.
But I guess I'm unclear as, excuse me, what's the total fine going to be? The 23?
4,000.
For the,
Right.
for, the 12,000 was
Out of the
saying
12,000.
4,000?
We're waiving it all down to 4,000.
I would support that.
We're going to waive the
okay, yeah.
penalty
Yeah, no,
for
okay,
the,
no, yeah.
till they get the NOI in.
Yeah, no, I would support that. I
And
think
with Dave's
that's fair.
estimation that we should waive the caliper,
Yeah, no,
what they donated to the town,
no,
which drops the fee to $4,000.
That's a good point, yeah.
And Dave made a motion. Do we have a second?
I would second that, yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
It's unanimous.
Okay.
And
So-
then,
But
when
we
they come.
keep that secret till they come in May. It's not secret now, but I think that's reasonable, and I think
Well, I
they'd be
do,
appreciative
yes.
of that. Okay. Excellent.
And the Board of Selectmen will love us for a month.
Okay, request for certificate of compliance, DEP file number SC 2690758.
Okay.
110 Ford River Parkway, 2T Realty Trust.
Okay, make a long story short, I would absolutely not recommend giving it to them. As a matter of fact, we should be giving them send them a letter. Basically, I took some pictures and printed them, but left them in my office.
Where is
what-
this again?
That's
Fort
Fort
River?
River, if you go on the South Street, east,
Arts
I
Bakery all the way
guess,
to the
west.
end.
Right next to Arts Bakery.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
It's where they did the addition to the driveway up against the river.
yeah,
Condos.
in the back on the, before the cul-de-sac on your left.
Okay,
They've got one of those metal buildings. They've got a stockpile of sand right up on against the wetlands.
okay.
They've got a lot of construction stones, like all those gravity wall material, and that you can also use for curbing, piled up right there. And then they've got a lot of sheet metals in the wetlands. So,
Oh, okay.
Why aren't we doing enforcement?
So why, yeah,
Well-
exactly, yeah.
If it's that much encroachment, why aren't we doing an enforcement?
Is the work been completed already? Is all the work completed except for that mess?
well, yeah, they did the work on that was called for on the plan. Oh, and then they installed a whole stone revetment that was not under the approved plan or the order of conditions. So I mean, I don't even know how they were asking for certificate of compliance, knowing what's there.
If, based on Azu's comments, then I would say an enforcement order is in order, because we're so close to the riverbank. I would go with an enforcement order.
With a daily fine until it's all cleaned up.
Yep.
And then they can readdress asking for a certificate of compliance.
Oh, yeah, they're not even close to getting a certificate. I wouldn't even consider giving them a certificate.
And the daily fine would be
What is our
Well, I believe it's $100.
Our
$100?
past press, yeah.
Okay, can we draft an enforcement order?
Yes, we can do the enforcement order, but if you look on the state, you can't really impose fine on people without them being present,
Right, okay.
okay?
We can ask them to appear.
So, yeah, so I will do the.
I'll make a motion for the enforcement
order.
order and have them appear
Invite
at
them
next
to
scheduled
come
meeting.
before
Yeah,
us.
right, come before you, and then in that enforcement order, say that the commission will consider imposition of fines at that meeting. So, and that way they're aware of it, and then they can come.
From that day forward.
Yeah,
From the meeting date forward.
right.
Okay.
I'm surprised that if they're requesting a certificate, they're not here to defend that, and it would have been.
No, because I don't think we told them it was gonna be on the agenda anyway.
I kind of said it might be here, but it was like, sorry. No, the other thing on the side.
Okay, let's do this. Send them a letter indicating that, in reference to your certificate of compliance, there were some concerns that the commission has on the property. Would you please attend the next meeting to discuss it? And then at that time, we can talk about it.
Would you like that in the form of a motion, Mr. Chairman?
Yeah.
So I will make a motion that we issue a enforcement order for, well,
No,
you
no,
know,
no,
I'm making a motion.
No. It has to be a request to appear, not an enforcement order.
But we can initiate a non-fine enforcement order
You
starting,
can if you want.
starting right now,
Yeah,
and
to
then
get
the
them
fine will
to-
start.
To start fixing, yeah.
Let's get them in here first, and let's talk to them
Okay.
before we issue an
So
enforcement
you
order.
want a letter?
Why not invite them in?
Yes.
Because we, let them know that we are considering.
Yes.
Well, that's what Bill's saying.
Yeah, so, yeah.
But-
Make a letter.
In,
Send a letter.
in past precedents, we have issued enforcement orders on site and they start immediately.
Because the applicant is there when we discuss the enforcement order. We can do that because
They're
they're
not
there and
here.
present with us. They're not here.
Sitting there, we
They
could-
came, they were,
we could
So
just tell
we,
them.
we need to request that their
Something else.
presence at a meeting,
Okay.
and then we can discuss
Right,
an
okay.
enforcement order.
So that's your motion.
So the motion will be to send a
But-
letter, oh, go ahead.
Just, point of reference. If we don't issue an enforcement order right now, they could be a month or two before they decide to come in here,
Oh, no,
and
no.
the issue's gonna continue. So I'm not sure why we can't just do an enforcement order to clean up the act and say, you need to appear at our next meeting. And that's when we'll sign the enforcement order in front of them.
You're right.
Because we have done that before with,
Yeah.
Okay.
with one of the other properties in that area. There was a pond that they were trying to drain out.
Right, that
Remember?
I went out to.
The actual landowner was not physically there. We
Right.
issued an enforcement order and advised them to show up at the next meeting.
Right.
The enforcement order started the day that we,
Signed it.
Then
So,
we signed
so I can issue the enforcement order, okay, but it wouldn't be binding until you vote on it, okay? But at least that enforcement order alerts them to what the violation is, because at least they may start making an attempt to
Correct.
address it.
because that's what
before
happened
they
at
show
that,
up.
at that past situation. Then we voted at the next meeting to uphold.
ratify the
To ratify
enforcement
the
order.
enforcement order.
Okay.
And I think that person actually
That-
was
that's fine.
attended at the next meeting.
That's fine, let's do that.
Okay.
So the motion will be to issue an enforcement order, and also letting the landowner know that they need to appear in the form of a letter, in the letter, at the next meeting, and we will ratify the enforcement order if needed at the next meeting.
At the next meeting, okay, yeah.
And then also discuss the possibility of fine, imposing fines, so they know that there's a threat of fine.
Yeah, and they could have it all cleaned up by the next meeting.
They could.
so, Okay,
They could. and
let's do
right,
that then.
but,
All right, so I've had a motion.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
That was by Kevin, seconded by Paul.
Okay. Anything else we need to discuss?
Yeah, there was a guy that there were, Franz, his name is Franz, Franz, Burke, Burke. He came in this afternoon to discuss our Lot 59 Richmond Street, which had an order of conditions under our SE 269-707. And basically, in that our order of conditions, they had a driveway. And the commission, that was an order of conditions that was issued in 2005. And the driveway included filling of wetlands to be able to build a driveway
Okay.
with replication.
Okay,
Okay, with replication. And then they had, there were culverts under the driveway to connect the two wetlands. But anyway, make a long story short, it's expired. And he came in to ask what he can do with the property to regain the order. Since you can't regain the order, it's already expired. There's no provision for extending an expired order. And he asked me question about erosion control and whether it would make sense to put a gravel driveway instead of a paved driveway. I said, historically, when you are that close to wetlands, we're not gonna recommend, I wouldn't recommend a gravel driveway, because that gravel will all end in the wetlands when they plow.
And run off and
Yeah.
heavy rain.
So, but then he was asking about the style of home. I said, you need to get yourself an engineer to pull your plans together, because we are not in the business of designing the project with you.
right.
Our job is to review your proposal.
Is that the 2-acre lot right at the
Do
beginning
you
of
remember
it?
a few years ago came in for an extension of it, and it's the, behind the property, it's the one that the Seventh-day Advent Church had in the beginning?
So is that
Yeah,
the
it's
one?
almost
And
across the
remember-
street from the winery office building, right?
Richmond,
No, Richmond
we're over
Street's
here,
right
Richmond
Right
Street over here.
Right by, hang on right out of Town Hall and
Yeah.
then your first left.
Oh, I'm thinking of another
Is that,
property, okay.
as soon as you make the left, is that probably about 200 feet on the right-hand side?
Yeah, and
Okay.
it's got a for sale sign on it right now.
Yeah, and then it's got a, it's like a
you go in the
retreat lot
back.
in the back.
Yeah, it is a retreat lot.
So there's a house already there.
There's
No,
nothing.
no,
No,
no.
Oh, there's nothing
No,
there.
no.
Oh, is that the guy with got the horse corral there?
So we gave him an order
Back further,
and
okay.
he never acted on it.
You're right.
So he has to do it again.
Yeah,
That was the gentleman that came in and said he only wanted a one-year extension, and because he was selling the property, and we
Right.
said, you said you may want a three-year
Oh,
project,
yes, yes,
and we
yes,
gave it
yes,
to him
yes.
automatically, and it's already expired.
Just for everybody to be aware of, we'd have to just, once their plans are in, once they have the plans submitted to conservation, is to look, because if I'm not mistaken, I think the backside of that property may abut property that is controlled by conservation, the Dora Pine Trail.
Oh, yes.
So we
yeah.
need to just, once the plans
Oh,
come in,
okay,
we just need to make
okay.
sure that,
Yep.
Yeah.
construction, it isn't so retreat that it's in the Dora Pine Trail.
yeah. Well, the only time, what I let you know ahead of time is also, because now you have your
Yeah,
new
yeah.
bylaw and the rules and regulations.
Surround-
I'm not sure you're gonna be able to apply the 25-foot no disturb, because there's no way they're gonna build a driveway without actually.
But he can still hear, and we could waive that, but he has to come before
Oh,
us
yeah,
with
yeah,
a
yeah,
plan.
yeah. What I'm saying to you
to
is,
discuss- right.
just so you're aware of it.
Yeah, okay. So you
Or
advise
it may
him
not be a
to,
buildable lot, period.
Yeah, advise, well, the actual person that came in, this, Franz Burke, is not the landowner, he's a buyer. He's a builder.
he wants to know what he can do there.
Right, and that's what he goes, what I'm gonna be was, spending some money here, and I just don't wanna buy it if it's not gonna be
If he
approved.
can't,
I said, I can't tell you whether it's gonna be approved or not. I said, we don't have an application.
And there are a lot of things they could do over on Hall Street, the Mello residence,
Yeah.
the same exact thing, they cut right
It's-
through.
right.
And they had to do the replication area, and it's neat and
doable.
tidy,
It's
it's
doable.
definitely doable.
It's
It's a little bit
doable.
out of pocket cost for them to make it happen,
Yeah.
but it's, if you look at that one property on Hall Street, they did it the right way, and they cut the driveway right through, and then they did the replication areas, and it looks nice, it's neat and tidy.
And then this guy here actually wanted to come before the commission to talk to the commission about, I said, no, I'm not gonna tell Gil to put you on the agenda, because you're trying to get the commission to tell you can do what you wanna do, when in fact, for them to tell you you can do what you wanna do, it requires a public hearing with the abutters present.
And
So-
plans.
And a plan. And we can advise you whether we're gonna approve the plan or not, and that's
Yeah,
it.
But you really don't wanna do that either, 'cause you.
No, when
'cause-
he shows up.
When he shows up with, yeah, exactly.
When he makes a formal proposal.
Right.
Right, exactly.
And then we can work with him to
Exactly.
modify the proposal
Exactly.
to accommodate the wetland.
Exactly.
We're here to help people, not
Right,
stop them.
right. But you don't wanna tell him you all said before you even see what he's doing.
Yeah, right.
Okay,
You want one more
anything
motion?
else?
Want one more
Another motion, please?
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
Paul wanted to do that.
No, I just asked.
All in favor?
Paul.
Aye.
Aye,
She's the-
so moved.